This is Parashat Metzora. If anyone wants to raise their hand or annotate on the screen, here's how you do it. Who would like to begin and read this short little verse up front and probably this next one as well?
Can I do it?
Eileen, go ahead.
וידבר אדוני את משה לאמור.
Vaidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. This is a very, very common phrase. I think it's been in the last two or three parashot, and there'll be in more of them in the future. He spoke, that is, the Lord did, to or unto Moshe lemor. All right, who wants to read the next one? This has the Metzora built into it. That's the word after which the parasha is named.
I can.
Thomas?
Yeah. Aline, you are very good in reading now. You are super. Zot, yeah. Zot tiheye Torah ham Metzora beyom taharato vehuva el hakohen.
Very good. Zot tihye Torat HaMetzora beyom tahorato. Last week we read this word a lot. It has that kamatz katan in it, right? From Torah. Vehuva el hakohen. So here we get a bit of an introduction. Hey, this is, or this shall be, the Torah. Law is an adequate translation. Instruction is probably a better word. This is the instruction of or pertaining to the Metzora. Again, we talked about this one. And it appears to be something other than Hansen's disease because it also afflicts buildings and clothes, but who knows? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Seems to be something a little different. Beyom tahorato. This is a construct chain. In the day of his, with that suffix, his Torah, cleansing. Vehuva, what binyan is vehuva? What kind of a verb?
Hufar.
Right. The who at the beginning is your dead giveaway. The problem with this verb is that you only get 2 root letters instead of 3. It's a weak root letter. There are lots of weak root letters there are lots of weak roots in Hebrew because of primarily 3 weak letters, Yod, Vav, and Nun. There are a couple other stragglers, but those are the 3 main ones. The root here is Bet, Vav, Aleph. So we have a weak letter right there. Vehuva, and he shall be caused to come, literally, or he shall be brought, El HaKohen, to the one ministering, which we know as the priest, the Levitical priest. All right, who's next? Amanda?
Veyatza HaKohen el michutz lamachane vera'a HaKohen vehine nirpa nega hatzaraat min hatzarua.
Very good. Veyatza HaKohen el michutz lamachane vera'a HaKohen vehine nirpa nega hatzaraat min hatzarua. All right, so we get you know what? I think this lesson's probably going to be about weak roots, so let's kind of focus on that a little bit today. Veyatza. Well, I guess this one's actually regular looking right now, but not in other forms. Yatsa, to go out. Vav at the front changes it to an incompleted tense instead of completed, so that's why it's future. And He shall go out or go forth. The priest shall. 2, towards mi chutz. Now, chutz is outside. Mi chutz is like beyond, the outside of. Lamachane, relative to the camp. So we'll just translate it as he shall go towards outside of the camp. Vera'ah, and he shall look. Ra'ah, hakohen, the priest shall look. Vehine, looky here. Hen means here. Hine means something like over here, which in King James English is like behold. Literally, turn your attention, look over here. Hine. Nirpa. Rafa is heel. Nirpa is passive nifal. If it is healed, if it be healed, if it was healed. What was healed? Nega hatzara'at. Remember that tzara'at is usually called leprosy, and nega is a touching, striking, or a plague. From the infinitive form laga'at, or in the he did it form would be naga. And so if that plague of leprosy be healed, min from hatzarua. Well, what is a tzarua? You can see it's the same root as this right here. Tzara'at is a disease. What is tzarua?
The one who has the disease?
Well, yeah, it's a that's a correct translation. It's a passive participle. We know what participles are. They're the ing form of a essentially an adjective. I am teaching. You are learning. We are having fun. You know, stuff like that. Ing. That's a regular participle, but the passive turns it into a passive voice. So I am being taught. That's a passive participle. So here it's like the one that is or was being tzadi resh aleph, whatever that means. So it's the one contaminated with that disease. We know other passive participles like baruch, same pattern, a'u, or if the door is open, well, I can't say the door. If the, I don't know, if the mouth is closed, it is sagur. Same pattern, a'u. So then why is there this little ah at the end? Is that part of the pattern of the word? Because it looks like the pattern of the word should be ah-u ah, right? No, this is a furtive patach. It only shows up when a word ends with an ayin or a chet or a consonantal hey, and the preceding vowel is something other than an ah sound. So if it's not one of those, then you insert it right there. And this just has to do with the original pronunciation of the ayin. It would have been hard to say hatzaru, you know, that guttural consonant in the back of your throat. So the ah is inserted in the biblical text to help get it out. Hatzaru. Well, we don't pronounce it that way anymore, so now it's just a vestigial patach, right? Hatzarua. And okay, so irregular stuff. I pointed out yatsa, but I didn't point out what's irregular about it because in this form it is perfectly, well, almost perfectly normal. Kamatz here, patach there. Wait, that's not a patach. Why not? Because aleph at the end of the syllable quiesces. It's like it's not even there. So this goes to a long vowel. Incidentally, that's also the same reason that this gets two kamatz vowels. The root is resh aleph. Uh-oh, that's a vowel. Vowels aren't consonant letters. It's resh aleph yod, but we don't see the yod. It's a weak letter. Yod drops off. We now have an open syllable. So we get a lengthened vowel because it's now an open syllable. Kamatz, kamatz. So when we get yod as the third root letter in a word, we're going to see certain predictable irregularities. The yod will go missing sometimes. Here's another example of aleph at the end of the syllable quiescing. So instead of patach, we get a kamatz. And there's one other, right. Machane. What's the root of machane? Chet nun yod. The mem at the front makes it a noun like migdal or makom. The root chet nun. There's a vowel hey at the end. Yeah, because the yod got dropped off. Evidently, it was too hard to say something like machanayi. So in biblical Hebrew, it just turned into machane. It's easier.
It's same like Hana, a little bit from the letters. Yes, Hana.
Are you saying, oh, right,
Chet
Hana,
nun
he,
he.
like if he encamped?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hana.
if he, exactly. If he encamped, it would be Hana. He
Hana.
encamped. Not to be mistaken, and I don't think you were thinking this,
Yeah.
but some people would hear this and go, oh, Hannah, like Hanna. But no, that's a
Yes,
different root. That's from Chen, also an irregular one because it has
Contrary.
two root letters at the end. Chet nun nun. Oftentimes one of those will go missing.
Can you make that comparison one more time, please? Hana and Hanen,
Yeah,
the one that you just made.
sure. The word up here, machane, comes from the root chet nun yod, and the yod went missing. Whereas Hanna comes from the root chet nun nun, and it has the addition of a feminine hey at the end in order to make it a female name. But when a root has two identical letters in the second and third position, oftentimes they will assimilate together and only show up one time. So even though Hannah's name is spelled consonantally the same, it's going to have a strong dagesh nun, Hannah, because the root is chet nun nun. Whereas over here it was chet nun yod. Chet nun yod is to park. Chet nun nun is to be compassionate or show grace. So two different roots.
Good observation, Thomas.
All right. Any questions before we move on? Who's my next reader?
I can.
Let's see. Jessie put her hand up just now. So let me give this one to Jessie. Go ahead.
Okay. Metzora HaKohen Velakach Lamitaher Shte Siporim Hayot Tichorot Ve'etz Erez Ushne Tolaat Ve'ezov.
Very good. Vetziva HaKohen Velakach Lamitaher Shte Tziporim, Hayot Tehorot Ve'etz Erez Ushne Tolaat Ve'ezov. All right. Most people know the word mitzvah. It's the same. It comes from the same root as this verb here, vetziva. There's a dagesh in the second root letter. What's the binyan of this verb?
Yeah.
PL. Yeah, it's usually some sort of an intensive action of some kind. There's a chirik and a strong dagesh. Those tell us it is a PL verb, just like diber at the beginning of this lesson. or actually it was Vaideber. There we go. Vaideber. This is also PL. Vetziva means and he will or shall command. That is, the priest shall. This also has an irregular root. What's the root? Vetziva. There's the tzadi. There's the vav. Uh-oh, there's a vowel hey.
Probably a yod.
Probably a
Yod.
yod. Very good. Now, if you want to
CZ.
look this word up in a dictionary or a lexicon, you might have to look up tzadi vav hey, because that's the form of, that's the he did it form.
Mm.
But literally, the original root letters are tzadi vav yod. And knowing this will help explain why sometimes a yod magically appears. It's just most of the time the yod goes missing. Velakach, what is lakach? It's right there.
Take.
Take. He, lakach means he took. Velakach switches it to and
Vikatai.
he will take or shall take. But lakach is also irregular. It has a weak letter. Which letter is weak and sometimes disappears? Of these three,
Lamed.
the lamed. Yeah. Much like yod and originally a vav, which was a W sound, these are kind of liquid letters. Yeah, wah. Well, so also lamed, la, is plagued by this problem occasionally. As far as verbs go, this is the most famous assimilating or disappearing lamed. So in the yiktol future incompleted tense, it goes missing. Yikach. Yikach. He will take. Why isn't it yilkach? Well, probably because it was easier just to say yikach than yilkach.
It's a Vikatai.
This is a vekatal, future.
Yeah.
Right. So this verb behaves very similarly to words that begin with a nun. If we look at that word from earlier, naga, or a nega, naga means to touch or strike. In the future, is it yinga? We wish. Unfortunately, nun is also a liquid letter. And so rather than saying yinga, it becomes yiga with a strong dagesh. In that sense, lakach is actually behaving like all these other verbs that have nun coming at the end of a syllable. We call these kinds of verbs pei nun, which just means pei represents the first root letter. So if the first root letter is a nun, we call it pei nun. And so lamed kuf chet acts like a pei nun. Its first root letter goes missing. He shall take la mitaher, for the one who is trying to be taher, clean. What shall he take? Shtei tziporim. Is this irregular?
It's a construct.
Sure, it's a construct form.
Yeah.
To of tziporim. Sure, it's construct. But is there a missing root letter? Well, I don't know. What's the root of the number 2, right? It's probably shin nun yod. We get to see this in words like mishneh or mishnah as well. It's possible that the word shana also comes from it, in the sense that there are 2 agricultural cycles, and that's why in the more modern Jewish and also from the Babylonian calendar, there are 2 New Years. There's the biblical New Year and then the agricultural New Year, 2 halves of the year, shnei parts of a shana. So possibly all of these words are related. Shnei, shtei, shnayim, shtayim, shana, mishnei, mishnah, all having to do with 2.
What's
So
the translation from Mishneh?
Mishneh is a copy of something.
Ah,
A second, I don't say facsimile, but a second of something. Remember when in the Torah it says that when there's a king, he shall write a Mishneh, he shall write a copy of this Torah. Good. So we have a missing nun
Thank
right
you.
here because nun at the end of a syllable will assimilate. So instead of shinte, it's instead shtei, 2 of tziporim. Chayot. There's another irregular one, isn't it? How do you say he lived? What's the verb he lived?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Chaya.
Yeah.
Now there is also hai. If something is alive, this is also a masculine singular. Hu chai, he is alive. If he did live, it's haya in the past tense, or if she lived, hayita, and then this drops to a shva, hayita. But the point is that it's another lamed yod verb, and so it's going to behave like those other ones, like ra'ah and tziva. So there's another irregular one. It's apparently is irregular because we only see 2 root letters. What's the root of etz? No idea. It's probably not ein tzadi tzadi, even though that's tempting to suggest. It might be ein yod tzadi. I just don't know. I've done research on it and I'm not sure. If somebody else knows, let me know. The etz, erez is cedar. Ushni, shni, is that related to the number 2? Maybe, maybe not. There are actually multiple values for the letter shin, so it's possible that you have a root that looks the same but is completely unrelated. Much like an ol could be an infant or it could be a yoke because there are 2 different letters ayin. Or harav could be to destroy, or it could mean sword. They're actually unrelated because there are 2 different chets. So also there are 2 different sheens. That's something we'll check out in like advanced level Hebrew. The original Proto-Semitic alphabet seems to have had about 29 consonants. Hebrew only has 22 written consonants. So where did they all go, you know? Tola'at.
What? Sorry.
Yeah, so shnei here has to do with probably silk or something like that. They're calling it yarn, but a tola'at is a worm. So my guess is what does a worm produce? It usually produces some kind of a silk, whether it's scarlet in color or not. So here it says yarns. I don't know. Maybe it should be some sort of a silk. Ve'ezov. All right, comments, questions?
If I can make a comment on scarlet and yarns in reflecting on Psalm 22, where he says, I am the worm. The Talmudic reference to the worm is actually a woolen thread wrapped in scarlet. You have yarn and tolet, which is scarlet yarn. Interesting. Additionally, if you take each one of these elements and look at them out of context, so to speak, you've got the priest commanding 2 birds from Genesis 15, the Abrahamic covenant, cedar and wood from Aaron making the morning sacrifice or atonement. You have the scarlet and the yarn, the worm and the yarn. This is of the veil, which is also spoken in Song of Songs, peering through the veil of yarn. And then the hyssop from Passover. Interesting. Very interesting verse.
A lot of connections. Good. Thomas, did you have a question? Did somebody else have a comment question?
I forgot it. It's not so important. The next times in the class is okay.
All right. Would anyone else like to read? If not, I'll circle back around to Thomas.
Yes, okay. וציווה הכהן ושחט את הציפור האחת אל כלי חרס על מים חיים.
Very good. וציווה הכהן ושחט את הציפור האחת אל כלי חרס על מים חיים. All right, we've already talked about this word vitziva. It's irregular. There's a missing yod. And he shall command, the priest shall vishachat. A shochet is a ceremonial slaughterer in Judaism. So here we get to see the same root. He shall kill or ceremonially kill et hatzipor, the bird, ha'echat. Achat, of course, is the number one. The tav is the feminine tav. So what's the root? Missing root letter. In Hebrew, the masculine form of the number one is echad. By adding a feminine tav, dalet and tav are both pronounced in the same place in the mouth. They assimilate very easily. And so we get simply achat or echat in the pausal. So that's an irregular with a missing dalet. El kli. Ooh, look at this one. Kaf lamed yod. Is that a lamed yod root? Apparently. But here, the yod didn't go missing. In fact, there are plenty of places where lamed yod yods don't go missing. It's just that the most common forms are the ones where it does go missing. Oy vavoy. Kli is a vessel, so in or into a vessel. Cheres, of earth or earthenware. Al mayim chayim. Now this is a very difficult question here. Is the word mayim irregular? It's a trick question because depending on how you look at it, yes or no. The construct form of mayim is may. Well, there's a mem and a yod, 2 letters, so clearly something's missing, right?
Yeah.
There might actually be a chance, though. Again, I can't prove it, but there's a chance that mayim might be from the root mem yod mem and have the same pattern as other words like this, bayit. It's just that the ayim that is part of mayim also happens to be the dual plural suffix, like 2 hands, yadayim, 2 ears, oznayim. That ayim sound is plural, dual plural. So it's understood that mayim is also a dual plural rather than taking it at face value. Mem, yod, mem, from the root ayi, like bayit or chayil. There are plenty of others. So anyway, maybe that's irregular. It certainly is in the biblical text, but whether it was originally irregular is a big question. Chayim, we already talked about. Chet yod yod. Here there's a dagesh in that yod. reminding us of the missing yod of the root letter. All right, next reader.
Jared,
Yes, Tim.
one quick, if you can go back one slide. Does the running water, those last three, the suffix on water, on Mayim, over water running, does if is over would be the suffix or the prefix rather? Could running be the suffix of Mayim?
I
Or is
don't
that the verb?
I don't know what you mean. A suffix is an ending on a word. This
Right,
al is a
right.
preposition.
So water running, one word as opposed to two words.
Well, it's
Could
broken
running
up it's broken up into two here simply because this is a word for word interlinear. But yeah, some other translation would probably say over running water. Here, the adjective comes afterward in the Hebrew, so therefore the word for word interlinear put the English adjective afterward, which we're not used to.
We can translate it as living water.
Right, but then the question
Yeah, in
becomes, what
German.
does
In
living?
German.
Right, so
Yeah.
in English, what is living water? It could be easily spiritualized, but the point is it's moving water.
Yeah, moving.
So
Yes.
river, lake, springs, those are your living water sources.
Yeah, yeah.
Cistern and a pond are not. Even a well has living water because the water is passing through the ground. It's moving. Okay, next reader. All right, back to Amanda. Do you want to read Amanda?
Yes. Et hatzipor ha ya yakach ota ve'et ez ha'erez ve'et shnai ha'tolaat ve'et ha'ezov ve'tavel otam ve'et hazipor ha'chaya bedam hatzipor hashhuta al hamayim hachayim.
Very good. Et hatzipor hachaya yikach otah ve'et etz ha'erez ve'et shni hatolaat ve'et ha'ezov ve'taval otam ve'et hatzipor hachaya בדם הציפור השחוטה על המים החיים. All right, so we have some good things to talk about here. And first thing I guess I want to talk about is the word et. It only has two root letters showing. Et shows up to either mean with or the direct object marker. And they look identical in the absolute form, but in the declined forms, when there's a suffix, they look different. So here, if this is a direct object marker, then that means here we get to see the construct form, and usually the construct forms are closer to the original form of the word. So it looks like there's a cholam right here, maybe indicating that there's a missing root letter, whether it was a vav or possibly a yod that turned into vav or something like that. So et hatzipor, the bird, hachaya, the living one, chet yod yod, yikach. Hey, we were talking about lakach. There's your lamed inside the kuf. He shall take otah. Aleph something tav. Maybe vav. Irregular. Yods, vavs, and nuns are irregular. Ve'et etz, and the tree, ha'erez, the cedar tree. Ve'et shni hatolaat, the yarn or silk of the tola'at, ve'et ha'ezov, all of that stuff he shall take, ve'taval, dip, to immerse. John the Baptist is hamat bil, from the same root. Tet bet lamed, John the Baptist. He shall dip otam, shall dip them, ve'et hatzipor hachaya, and also the bird. Okay, so we're dipping the bird into the blood. There's another irregular. 2 letters. How can I know what the root is? Well, have a look over at the construct form. If you add a suffix to the word dam, like damo, is there a dagesh in it? If there is, then that means the root is probably dalet mem mem. If there is not, then that means there's probably a missing yod or vav. But we don't get I don't think we get the luxury of, I don't know. I'd have to go back and check that one. The dam of the tzipor ha-shechuta. Ooh. What is shachut? What kind of a word is shachut? Kind of like tzarua or baruch or sagur.
Passive participle?
It's also a passive participle. So here it's talking about the bird, the one. Here it's feminine because tzipor is feminine, but nevertheless, the one that was shachat, the one that was killed or slaughtered. Al hamayim hachayim, over the running or living water. Jesse, would you like to read?
Okay. Vehiza al ha-mitader min ha-tzaraat sheva pe'amim veticharo veshilach et ha-tzipor chachaya al pnei ha-sada.
Hasadeh.
Sadeh.
Very good. Vehiza. Looks like something's missing. The hay at the front is probably telling us that this is a hif'il verb. The hay at the end is probably telling us that it's a lamed yod verb, meaning the third root letter is a yod. The dagesh and the zayin is probably telling us that
There's a letter missing.
there's a letter missing. Maybe it's a pei nun verb. I'd like to double check this one just to be sure. Where are you? Tiva et. Aha. Nun zayin hey. See that? We're able to figure out what the root is, even if we've never seen that word before, based on what's showing up, what's appearing. So this is a doubly irregular verb. Not only does it have a third root letter yod, it also has a first root letter nun, and quite frankly, both of them went missing. The only root of this word we see is a zayin. Can you all think of any other verb that does something like that? How about hika? Hika comes from the root nun, kaf, yod, and it means he strikes or he struck. And that shows up it shows up all over the place in the Bible, but one famous example would be David and Goliath, one striking the other. Vehiza, he shall sprinkle al ha-mitaher, the one that is to be taher, cleansed, min hatzaraat, from that condition, Sheva, 7. Pe'amim. Pa'am originally means something like step, stepping forward, and ultimately it comes to mean times. You know, like how many steps are there to a certain process? That's the same idea. How many times do you do something? Pe'amim. V'tiharo, and he shall make or pronounce him as clean. That chirik there, what binyan is this verb if there's a chirik there?
Yeah.
E-L.
P-L. P-L. We don't get to see the strong dagesh. There's a guttural there. Bummer. All right. Vishilach, is this also P-L?
Mm.
There's a chirik. There's a dagesh.
Yes.
Now there's also the regular form shalach, which means he sent. And shilach means he sent. Well, what's the difference? Well, usually the PL is a little more intensive, like sending away or driving out, as opposed to just, hey, could you go do something? He shall let loose or send out et hatzipor hachaya, the living bird, al panei hasadeh. Literally unto the face of the sadeh, field. Is sadeh an irregular word? Does it have an irregular root? Sin, dalet, vowel. What's the construct form? The field of, well, no, that's not a good one. Because it's just sadeh, right? I'm wondering, when do we get to see the yod? Do we ever get to see sadeh like this? Not really. I don't think so. All right. So we don't get to see the yod very often. That's the thing about these irregular roots. All right. Next up to read,
I have a question.
Thomas, you have a question.
Okay. When I read, also I can't read with cantillation marks, but when I sometimes read at home, some words I know, and then I read very fast. And normally it's better when I learn the reading. And then after that, I have a better concentration on cantillation mark. Because
some of you may have recognized it, and some of you may not have yet recognized it, but I am subliminally trying to teach you all where to stop and where not to stop.
Okay.
I have included spaces, larger spaces, wherever there is a cantillation mark, after which you ought to give something of a pause. If you see this one, it's something of a pause. If you see that one, it's something of a pause. But the most important ones you need to know are this one and this one. It also means that whenever you're reading in this class, if you see a gap right there, maybe you need to pause just ever so slightly, almost like a comma or half a comma, if that were to exist. And so, vehiza al hamitaher min hatzaraat sheva pe'amim v'tiharo v'shilach et hatzipor hachaya al pnei hasadeh. Now, sometimes there's a little bit of a gap simply because the English translation is so big that's never going to bleed over into the next Hebrew word. So this is not, supposed to be too much of a gap there, but actually, you know what? Neither is that, because look at how long the English translation is. Sorry. But this is the most important one you need to know, the halfway point. This one is next most important. And maybe, maybe this one right here is an important one to know. Obviously, the last one of the verse is the most important one, but I take that for granted, so I'm not going to explicitly talk about that one. It's the end of the verse. Of course, it's a pause. All right.
Thank you.
Who's up next to read? Who's itching to read? Jesse?
Sure, I did just read, but I'll
Yeah,
read.
you did just read, but you're itching. Nobody else is
Okay.
itching. So let's
Okay.
scratch that itch. Go ahead.
Vehi bes hamitaher et begadav vegi lach et kol saro verachatz b'mayim vetaher ve'achar yavo el ha-machane veyashav michutz le'achalo ve'oholo shivat yamim.
Very good. V'chibes hamitaher et begadav v'gilach et kol se'aro ורחץ במים וטהר, ואחר יבוא אל המחנה, וישב מחוץ לאוהלו 7 ימים. Okay, וכיבס, is it PL?
Mm-hmm.
Of course. המטהר, that's a curious one right there. Hamitaher. Not sure what to do with that one. Almost looks like a, well, I'm not going to say that. I've just been translating as the one with the mem at the front who wants to be taher. He shall wash, that is, he who wants to be clean, shall wash et begadav. Why is there a yod here?
Because it's plural.
Because it's plural. Why is there a vav here?
Because it's his.
Because it's his. And why does it have bet gimel dalet here? Because it's clothes. He shall wash his, plural, clothes. Vegilach, what, binyan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting a little annoying, isn't it? It's like PL. PL. Of course it's PL. Stay on your toes, though. Vegilach, he shall make smooth. Galach has to do with smooth, so he shall shave or make smooth. Et kol se'aro. Se'ar, his hair. Se'aro, his hair. Verachatz, is it PL?
No.
Oh, no. No, it's a regular kal, pa'al, a'a. And he shall wash b'mayim. Why is there a dagesh in the mem?
The doubling the dash.
Why is there a doubling dagesh in the mem?
Definite. Here.
Yes.
It's the
Right. So this should be in the water.
Mm.
Vetaher. What binyan is vetaher?
Kal?
Kal.
Kal.
Kal?
Yes.
Why is it kal? We know kal verbs. Ah. So why is it
Somewhere
Yeah, why is it ae?
Resh.
No, it's
At
not
the
because
end
of
or
resh.
not?
I'm afraid not.
No, okay, Taha, it's not a problem.
Karev.
Karev.
Tzameh. Ayef. Yeah, no, that's not a good one. Sameach. What do all of these have in common? To be close, to be thirsty, to be tired, to be happy.
State of being.
State of being. Taher, that he may be clean. So the tzere tells us it's state of being. But it is still kal. That he may be clean. Va'achar, and after, or afterward, yavo. Look, There's that Vav in the wild in its natural habitat. Yay! Remember earlier when we had Huva, the Vav was missing. Hu is Hufal, and all we had was Bet Aleph. Disappearing Vav. Well, here we get to see it. Isn't that nice? It graced us with its presence. Yavo is a Yiktol form. Whenever you get Vav or Yod in the second root letter position, it shows up in the Yiktol. He shall come, El Hamachane, Chet Nun Yod, V'yashav. What binyan is Yashav?
Cool.
Kal.
Kal, Pa'al, exactly. Is it irregular? You should
Yes.
You should teshev. You should sit and think about it. What's the root of yashav? Well, it's right there. Yod, shin, bet. So where's the yod, shin, bet here? Missing. Teshev is a yiktol, you, 2ms, or she, 3fs. Shev. Where's the yod? It's missing. So that means there's another category of irregular roots when yod comes at the beginning. The pay yod verbs. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. Well, what about the word yeshev? What's the difference between yashav and yeshev? Yashav means he sat. Yeshev means he will sit. So is that a yod root letter?
No.
It has to be a yiktol prefix.
Mhm.
So the only way we know that there's a yod there is either because we know the vocabulary or because of that tzere. Seems like the original yod influenced that vowel so that we get instead of something else. He will sit. Mi chutz. Here we get to see the u vowel, that vav, because it's a noun. Cool. Le'oholo, in his ohel, tent, shivat, 7 of yamim, days. There's that strange looking, feminine tav looking suffix when it's actually masculine, because yamim is masculine. Remember, numbers are weird like that?
It's a construct. Shivat,
Yes.
Yamim.
It is
It's
construct, yeah.
Tag.
Yep.
Und Tag. Yeah.
Yep. Just like a feminine noun, so also this one looks like that construct form with the patach tav. All right, next reader.
Me.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Behaya beyom hashbiyi yagalach et kol se'aro et rosho ve'et zakano ve'et gabot enav ve'et kol sa'aro yeglach ve'kibes et begadav verachetz et besaro bamayim vetaher.
Very good. Are you paying attention to where to pause and where not to pause?
I was trying to
Nice.
on the spaces. Yeah.
Good. So there's that halfway point. Where's that other one I was looking for? There it is. There's one. Do we have any others?
Oh.
This one right here is probably another one to keep in mind. And so is this one. That one's a little less. So here's the thing. There are, depending on how you count them, either 26 or over 30 different accent or cantillation marks. But they all can be categorized into 5 different levels. The ones that are in the highest level you pause the most. The ones that are in the next level, you pause a little less. The next one a little less, the next one a little less, and then the last one, 0. You connect the words together with no pause at all between them. So when it comes to learning all of these, for beginners especially, it's best just to remember a few of them, the most important ones.
Okay.
So end of the verse is very important. Halfway is very important. This one is very important. If there are only 3 of them that you want to learn, those are it. Last one, halfway. And this one's more like a quarter. I don't know if anyone's musical, but like a whole note versus a half note versus a quarter note. That's actually how the cantillation mark system works. It divides one verse into smaller and smaller bits, just like music can divide one measure of music into smaller and smaller notes. And it just keeps dividing until it has a cantillation mark for every note, every word in the verse.
Can you write,
sorry, Thomas, say it again.
can you write cantillation mark? I don't know the consonants. Cantillation mark. Can you write that word, please? Cantillation. Oh, good. Okay.
This is probably related to the word chanting. I think it's from the Latin cantillation. This is also related to the Latin name of the book of Song of Songs, Canticles. Oh gosh, now I have to spell it. Is it Canticles? I don't know. I'm sure I've got that butchered, but it's related. Trust me.
That we learn. That is a D curse or C. Cantillation mark.
It's it's usually like a level C concept.
Okay.
Canticles. Why can't I remember how that's spelled? I have a Catholic Bible here. I wonder if it has Song of Songs or Canticle. Oh, they call it Song of Solomon. Never mind. All right. Well, I tried. Let me read through it. Here we go. V'haya vayom hashvi'i yigalach et kol se'aro et rosho ve'et zkano ve'et gabot enav ve'et kol se'aro yigaleach v'chibes et begadav. Oh, there's another one right there. Verachatz et besaro bamayim. This one's a somewhat important one, so I'll put one right there. V'taher. Here is a very well-known irregular verbal root. What is the root of haya?
Hayai?
Yes and no, depending on how far back in time you want to go. As we're reading it right here, it looks like the root was originally hey, yod, and then a missing yod right here. But there are, I think, 5 times in the Bible this verb is preserved with a vav here, like the imperative form heve, like this. Or a couple of times I think it shows up with a yiktol prefix like tehve. So apparently vav was its original root letter, much like chai was not chet yod yod, but rather chet vav yod, and that's why we get words like chava, Eve, Adam and Eve. Vav was original. Also, probably the most common word in the Bible that comes from this original root, hey vav hey, with a yiktol prefix, God's name.
Yeah. Why we pronounced Eve Chava? Eve is not
Right. I
So
think it has
same.
something. I think it has something to do with Greek not having that
Okay.
sound. Also not having. Oh, right. Also the ypsilon turning into a V sound in late Latin. So it has problems with it. You know, much like Yaakov turning into James or Yoshua turning into Jesus and stuff like that. And when it lacks certain letters. Good.
Thank you.
I think I did read. Yeah. Vihaya from Hey Yod Yod, probably originally Hey Vav Yod. Vayom Hashvi'i, on the day, the seventh one. Yigalach. Ooh, is that a PL? Does it have a chirik and a dagesh?
No.
That's the wrong question to be asking. Who wants to fix my incorrect question? It's if it's the past tense, the completed tense, the katal tense, that's when you expect chirik and a dagesh. Is this a katal form? All right, it's a yikto form. It's an incompleted, a future, if you will. So now we're expecting something a little different. Patach dagesh. So is it a PL? Absolutely. Yigalach, he shall make smooth, he shall shave. Et kol, is this an irregular root? Apparently, there are 2 letters instead of 3, right? This kamatz katan is hinting at an original vav. Kaf, vav, lamed. So there you get that vav in the middle that sometimes goes missing. Se'aro, all of his hair. Et rosho. And I don't know if I want to ask. Yeah, I'll go ahead and ask it. Rosh, is it weak? Is it an irregular root? What's the definition of an irregular root?
Weak letter and a gutter.
That's actually not 100% accurate. A weak root by definition is one where a root letter sometimes, even if it's just in one form, sometimes goes missing. Does the resh, the aleph, or the sheen ever go missing in the word, in the root? Resh, rosh, rishon, reshit. I don't think so. Not that I know of. Sometimes it'll go quiet, like the aleph here is quiescing, but it's still physically written there. So you'll get some grammars that talk about gutturals, which are irregular in the sense that they affect the surrounding vowels, but not in the strictest definition of if letters go missing, it's weak. So yeah, it affects vowels, but I wouldn't categorize it as weak, but some people do. He shall shave his head, ve'et zakano, zaken, or zakan, zaken, no, zakan. Zakan is a beard, zakano, his beard. Ve'et gabot, is that weak? Is that irregular? It's got a feminine tav.
Yes.
2 root letters. What's the root? There's your hint.
Gimel.
Bob?
Got
Double
it.
B.
Gimel. We see a gimel, we see a bet. What does the strong dagesh mean? Something's missing. So maybe there's a missing noon, right? Well, I mean
Noon.
that's a fair
Ganav.
assumption, but well, yeah, but a ganav, is that the root here? What about gimel bet? Like we saw earlier. Hanna, het nun nun. Here it would be gaba instead of hanna. Maybe gimel bet. Gabot are the brows of enayim. I wonder if sometimes the yod. No, I can't think of when the yod goes missing in a9. Enav. No, enav is right here. Maybe, maybe not. The brows of his eyes, ve'et kol se'aro, and all of his hair, yigaleach. There's your patach, there's your dagesh, it is piel. V'chibes, and he shall wash et begadav, ve'rachatz, katal, pa'al, kal, whatever you want to call it,
Oh, yeah.
et besaro, bamayim, in the water, v'taher, and he shall be clean.
Yeah, the last one is partial form, yes?
This is also a pa'al verb, a kal
Yeah.
verb. It's just that stative one.
I said it.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah. Taher. Nihitaher. Mm.
What binyan is this one? It's the same thing, except with a y in the front of it.
Mm. Yiktol and
Okay, yeah, yiktol. It's an incompleted tense.
Uh-oh.
I'm afraid not.
Mm.
If it were a pa'al, if it were a kal binyan, it would be something like yit har.
Yitta.
Yit har. So we got something else going on. Okay, so
Yeah,
this
there is no
shva,
dagesh. Yeah.
there's no dagesh. Very good.
Yeah,
The shva
that's
here can actually be helpful in figuring out what binyan you're looking at. Look, this one.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
Do we have another one? I thought we did. Yeah.
Hitpael.
This.
Hitpael.
This one. The yeah. No, if it's a hitpael, it will be yit. Yit.
Ah, yet. No. Yitta form as a hitpael? No. Because the Zere is for the double
I know.
letter.
Okay, I figured out what you're doing. No,
Yeah,
no, no. It has to be
Okay.
a tav, yit.
Hmm.
Whereas here,
Ah,
the-
yeah.
the tet is part of the root.
Mm.
All right, so the shva here is actually telling us that it's either PL or pual.
Ah,
This should have been a patach, and this should have been a dagesh, but gutturals won't take a dagesh. So this is actually PL. Gutturals are always messing up vowels. Well, not always.
mm.
Good. Next reader.
And the last Yit, nee, nee. Yitta hair is the hair without the dagesh, and then is a Zere for vowel lengthening. Or is that not
in this form right here?
dagesh? Yeah.
Yeah, this
In
is
the
not
hair is not a dagesh. Oh,
right. There cannot be a dagesh, so it
and then
lengthens
it's
the
a Zere.
preceding vowel.
Ah, okay, there. Come out this lengthening. Okay.
Mhm.
Yitta. Yeah.
All right, next reader. Thomas, do you want to read it?
Yes.
Okay.
Uvayam Hasheman Hashemani Yikach Shnei Kevezim Temai Temimim Vechavza Echad Bat Shenatach Teminma Ush lo Ush. Oh.
There are two dots there. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Ushlosha Ezronim Zolet Mincha Belula Vash Shemen Velog Echad Shamen. That's the puzzle form. Shaman.
Sham. Right. It's the pausal
Man.
form. Shaman.
Shaman is normally okay.
All right. What did I write on these?
Okay.
S.
Esset.
Yes.
Esset.
Esset.
So
Kevasim.
Chavasim,
Yeah.
Solet, Esrim, Vesofot.
Oh, that's my problem. Yes.
You know, I'll just keep bringing it up. All right. Uvayom hashmini, pause. Yikach shnei chvasim tmimim, pause. V'chavsa, sorry, achat bat shnatah tmimah, pause. Ushlosha esrim, slight pause. Solet mincha belula vashemen, pause. Velog echad shaman, major pause. Here it doesn't feel like a pause is that necessary, but like I said, there are 4 different levels of how much to pause, and this one's the 3rd. So sometimes it really doesn't feel right pausing. Uvayom, on the day, hashmini, the shmoneh, the 8th. Yikach, he will take. Shnei, ooh, there we get to see the root. Shin, Nun, Yod. 2 of chvasim, lambs, tmimim. What's the root of tmimim? Tmimim.
Tamam.
Right, tav, mem, mem.
Yes.
The
And
pattern is ta, mim. There's a kamatz here. There's a chirik yod there, much like David or Mashiach or Nasi. It's the same pattern. V'chavsa, all right, this is the word kevis, except now it's a girl kevis. V'chavsa achat, 1. Bat, ooh, is that irregular? Does it have a missing root letter? Or 2?
Of the first.
Is it missing a vav?
When there's a missing vav, usually there's some remnant reminding you, whether it's an O vowel or an U vowel, you know, much like the word kol has a missing vav, but it either has a kamatz katan or it has a cholam, and those tell you something, that a vav is missing. Here it doesn't have that, so it's probably not a vav. What else could it be?
That is how old female animal is.
What you're saying is
Bat
correct.
is feminine, as a feminine, and Ben is masculine.
Very good. There's the connection. Ben.
Yeah.
Ben is also 2 letters.
Yeah.
So it still looks like something's missing.
It's missing a noon.
Very good. The word bat is definitely missing a noon. There are some places. No, that's not true. I think in Arabic, the word for a daughter is a bint.
Bint. Oh, yes.
You get to see the missing noon, but in Hebrew, noon at the end of a syllable will assimilate. So instead of bint, we get beat or bat. So maybe the original form was ban or bin, or it's hard to know, for a son, and then you add the feminine tav. What was the original root? I have no idea. Maybe bet nun yod, probably from the same root as bana, to build. How do you build your family? Sons and daughters.
Yes.
Banim uvanot. That also explains why the plural form of bat has a nun in it. Banot.
Yeah.
Banot. Yeah, that's right. Incidentally, that also explains why the word isha has a nun in its plural form. Nashim.
Nashim, yeah.
Seems very, very strange, very irregular. How do we go from isha to nashim? Well, because there's a missing nun right there in the shin. The aleph at the front just helps you get the word started. So instead of nsha, it became insha, and then we lose the nun, isha. When it's masculine, the plural form is anashim with an aleph. But women is nashim. All right, so nun seems to go missing quite a bit. Bat shnatah, there's that root shin nun yod with the missing yod, feminine tav, belonging to her, in her year, a daughter of her year. In English, when you talk about how old someone is, you say they are 1 year old or 10 years old or 100 years old. In Hebrew, you say they are a son or a daughter of a certain number of years.
Okay.
Noah was a son of, was it 600 years when the flood came? So he was 600 years old. Question?
When that is construct with ben shnat, when it's a masculine form is ben shnat?
Ben shnato.
Shnat. Ah, yeah, shnato. Okay.
Or
okay.
ben shana. Ben shana is a son of a year. Ben shnato, a son of his year. And he has to be tamima. Or she, sorry, the ewe lamb has to be tamima, without blemish. Question?
And the kevashim is a lamb, plural, and because it's plural, and the construct is shenei, when the lamb is kevashot, that is shtei. Is that right?
Yes, you would say shtei kvasot.
Shtei kvashot. Okay.
Kvasot. Ushlosha, and 3 esrim, tens or tenth. Here they say tenth. 3. Oh, excuse me. Esronim. It's not esrim. Stop it. Esronim, tenths of solet. I don't know what the root of solet is. I would imagine it has a letter missing, but I don't know that for sure. Maybe it's samach lamed tav. Yeah, I don't know that one. Mincha, probably from nun, maybe nun chet yod. I'm not sure. There's a lot of them I don't know. My apologies. Blula, is this a passive participle?
It could be.
Yes. Oh, yes. That is from the root. Oh, no. Laila? Nee. Lul. Balal.
Balal. Remember, the Bible gives the explanation for why Babel was called Babel, because God balal their language, that he mixed up, he confused. So balula, it is passive participle mixed, bashemen, in oil. Velog, ooh, here you get a residual O. Maybe this has a missing vav in it. Log is a unit of measure. Log echad, 1 log of shaman. Shemen is the way we learn the word oil. Shaman is the pausal. All right, next reader. Is it Jesse or Amanda? I forget.
I think it's Jesse.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Okay. Vehe emid hakohen hamtaher et haish hamitaher ve'otam lifnei Adonai petach ochel moed.
והעמיד הכהן המטהר את האיש המטהר ואותם לפני אדוני פתח אוהל מועד. The root of והעמיד is ein mem dalet, to stand.
Stand, yes.
The hay is he feel. causing to stand. The priest shall cause someone to stand. Now, as I said earlier, just because there's a guttural, I don't necessarily call it a weak verb, but gutturals do like to mess up the vowels. The vowels here should have been chirik under the hey, shva under the ayin. Mead. That's hard to say. So instead of mead, they put a chataf vowel underneath the ayin, which closely resembles an IE vowel, and then that has an influence on the preceding he feel vowel. Instead of he. Ve'emid, and the priest shall cause to stand. Ham taher, the one who is wow, that looks like a PL. Looks like a PL participle. There's your shva, there's your patach, there's your missing dagesh. The one making clean. That's why they translate it that way. He presents the one making clean. He shall make stand ha'ish. That's your object over here, direct object marker. Ha-mitaher, the one that is to be made clean. Ve'otam, and them. Them? What's them? Maybe it's the other things he was supposed to bring along, whether it was the hyssop or the other animals, the other stuff. Lifnei Adonai, before the face of, or before the Lord. Petach ohel moed. This is being used as an adverb at the opening of the tent of moed. Is this a weak root letter? I mean, is this a weak root?
Yes.
Here the vav hasn't gone missing, but it has turned into a vowel. There are other words where the vav simply goes missing. Ed is a witness. Well, that's not a good. No. That's a different root, isn't it? That's ud. Moed. A va'ad is a meeting. So yeah, maybe this will go missing, maybe it won't. Usually vavs are kind of tricky, so okay. Moed, here it shows up. All right, Amanda, is it yours?
Yes. Okay. Velachach ha-kohen et ha-keves ha-echad vehikriv oto le'asham ve'et log ha-shamen ve'hanef otam tenufa lifnei Adonai.
Very good. Velakach hakohen, the priest shall take et hakeves ha'echad, the lamb, the one, vehikriv. Benyan?
It's
Hifil.
Right, there's your hey, there's your chirik, there's your chirik yod. It is
Hifil?
hifil.
Hifil. Oh,
So
yes.
it's causative. Cause something to be karav, close. If you cause something to come close, either you're bringing it over or you're making it close to God by sending it up in smoke. So it can mean bring someone over, or it can mean sacrifice. Vehikriv oto, and he shall sacrifice it le'asham. Now, the word offering is not explicitly built in here, but it's inferred. It's implied. We infer it. Asham has to do with guilt, so this must be some sort of a guilt offering, much like a chatat is a sin offering, or a shalem is either a piece or a whole offering. Ve'et log hashamen, and he shall also offer that log of oil. Vehenif, what binyan is vehenif?
Hefil.
Hefil.
It is, but what's missing?
The Hirik.
We expect a chirik and a shva, and then a chirik yod. We get this and a chirik yod instead. So is it weak?
Yeah.
Good. What's the root? Clearly there's a nun and a pei.
Nof oder Nuf.
There's your root. So the vav didn't show up over here because the chirik yod of the he field took precedence. But over here in the noun, the vav is present. Yay! Much like the verb kam. He stood up.
Yeah.
But makom, a place that has been stood up or established. Here, it's visible. There, it's not. Same thing happened over there. Tenufa, like I said, it's a feminine abstract noun, something that is waved, presumably an offering, lifnei Adonai. There's your major pause, the etnach. There's, where's okay, I guess that's the only other pause, really.
And Oto.
Oto?
Right.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so it's just a bit of a minor pause, but yes, it's still to some degree a pause. In which case we would also have to put one right there since it has the same symbol. This one's actually a more major pause. It almost looks like a comma. Treat it like a comma. Tipacha is the name of it. Tipacha. Tipecha. Milcha tipacha. There are hand signals for all of the cantillation marks. All right. This will be the last verse. Who wants it? Don't be shy.
I can.
All right, Thomas, it's yours. Go.
It's okay. ושחט את הכבש במקום, yes, אשר ישחט את, so, no, doch nicht. החטאת ואת העולה במקום הקודש, כי כחטאת השם הוא לכהן קודש קדשים הוא.
Good. Yeah, I'll read through. Veshachat et
קדשים.
No, leave it. There's actually a little bit of there's a little bit of disagreement about this one.
Okay.
Sometimes it shows up with a reduced kamatz like this, kodashim, and in fact, that is the way it should show up. You think of words like melech, which is the same. Well, can I use a different word? Okay, let's use boker because it's closer to kodesh. Boker. What's the plural of boker?
Bokrim.
It's either bekarim or possibly bokarim. So it's trying to preserve the O vowel right here. But you'll notice that even words like melech, how do they look in the plural? Different. Me, lachim. Reduced vowel, long kamatz, chirik yod mem. So reduced vowel, long kamatz, chirik yod mem. So what should this have been? It probably should have been a reduced kamatz. Ko, da, shin.
Hey, Jared, what is that line beside the kamats there?
Very good. That line beside the kamatz is called a meteg. It has about 4 or 5 different purposes in biblical Hebrew. It's really frustrating. It can signify secondary stress. It can signify the end, the last cantillation mark of a verse. Then it's called something else. It's called a siluk. But it can also signify when when it's the end of a syllable.
Okay.
So why would they put that here? Let me give you a better example. What is the verb to hear?
Shema.
Good. Shama. He
Is
heard. Shama. How would you say she heard?
Shama.
Is this a kamatz katan or not?
Yes.
No.
No.
It was shama. Now that you changed it to feminine, it doesn't change the vowel structure of the verb. It simply reduces this to, so it's the end of a syllable. Sometimes you'll see a meteg show up here that says, this is not a kamatz katan. The end of the syllable is here.
Oh.
Sha-ma.
Shomea.
No, there's no O sound. Sha, split your syllable right here. Sha-ma. In pausal form, it would actually become shama'a, which brings back your original kamatz sounds in the katal. So the point is, why add a little meteg here to help you realize, no, here's the end of the syllable. Good. So why did they add it here? I don't know. Apparently that's the end of the syllable. I don't know how else we could have confused it, but it could. Some people speculate that the meteg can also represent a long vowel. I don't know why they say that. I see the meteg showing up in all sorts of different places. You know, look over here. Patach. Why did it show up over here? Well, probably because it was supposed to be ha-chatat with a dagesh in the chet. But since we can't put a dagesh in the chet, we now have a patach, a short vowel in an open syllable. That's not allowed. So the scribe went, it's okay, meteg, don't worry. Calm your horses, you know, don't get yourself in a wad. It's the end of a syllable. Ha, chatat. So when you see this meteg, usually something strange is going on, and the scribe just wants to let you know it's okay. I saw it. Leave it like that. Pretends that, you know, it's normal even though something else is going on. I wish I had a better grasp on meteg. It has so many different usages, or at least that's what the grammars say. Hey, when I hear like 5 or 10 different explanations on why something exists, it usually tells me no one has a clue and they're guessing. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around, well, what did the Masoretic scribes actually mean with a meteg? There's no way they have one meteg with 17 different usages. Well, then there's dagesh, right? Strong dagesh, weak dagesh, mapik, shuruk. It's all one dot. I don't know, maybe they did.
I'd like to make a guess.
Go ahead.
So if we use the context, and I'm going to use context here. So in the previous verse, we were looking at the asham, or the guilt offering.
Okay.
And here it appears to be looking at the sin offering. So after the meteg, it actually explains it. So you're looking at 2 different sacrifices here. The second being the Zavaim Shalamim, or the peace offering.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got there, it appears to be both offerings coming together, and it ends at holy. Then it explains most of the priest, so is the guilt offering as the sin offering. So it appears that they're both coming together to serve the same a final purpose.
Did you notice that there are 3 kinds of offerings in this one verse? The chatat, the olah, and the asham.
I didn't see that. Now I see it since you brought it up.
Okay, so the olah offering is sort of like a you know, an offering that you bring anytime you approach before God. Chatat is obviously for some sort of a sin, sin being like, oops, I missed the mark. Asham, I have been found guilty of something pretty serious. So there's a sin offering and an asham. So first the olah, then the sin offering, then the asham, and then you were talking about the shlamim from earlier.
Yes.
The shelem. Okay. Okay. Well, I hope
the
you
guilt,
all
the guilt offering being asham.
Thank you all for coming today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to, please support Hungry for Hebrew, and I'll do my best to come up with more wonderful content. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Happy Yom HaAtzmaut. Yesterday was Yom HaZikaron, Memorial Day in Israel. And then right after the day after is Yom HaAtzmaut, Independence Day. So also Happy Mother's Day in America.
Yay.
Yeah, so much to celebrate. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Until then, lehitraot v'shalom.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Bye.
Sure, thank you.
Shalom.
That was excellent.
Thank you.